This is Times Drive. I'm Joel Pereira, and the festive season is almost among us. But alongside those big screen TVs, the crackers and the sweets, I bet a lot of you are thinking, I need to get myself a new car. Well, if you should, you should. And that's where we come in. Welcome to the Times Drive Diwali Car Buyer's Guide. Roll music. Now, when we decided to create this list, the first thing we did was sit down and put together all the car models that Joe Public can choose from. And that's when we realized that there are upwards of 100 models. Ranging from the cheap Tata Nano all the way up to the Bugatti Veyron Supersport, with which a sticker price of almost 25 crores, you'd have to be richer than the goddess Lakshmi herself to buy. And so our crack research team and I decided to take a closer look and narrow it down. Times Now was only giving us a half an hour in which to complete this list, and we had to be a little more selective. We decided to focus on where the bulk of the action was. More than 95% of all cars purchased in India range from the 1 to 25 lakh rupee price bracket, and that's where we'd focus too. Also out there in the real world, no one really bothers with silly things like subcompact and B segment. So we went with the classification that you really care about: money. Now we've broken our categories according to price, and if you have between 1 to 5 lakh rupees to get your car out on the road, here are your options. You could start from the bottom of the barrel with the Nano, and the 2013 version looks pretty interesting. Here's something you could be looking at instead: the Maruti Alto 800. Now it might be called the Alto 800, but really has nothing in common with the older 800 except for the name. This is an all-new car set to take the Alto into the next decade, and though it might not be as stylish as the competition from Hyundai, the Eon, it's basically a love child between the existing Alto and the A-Star. There's more head and legroom and an all-new dashboard. There's an 800cc petrol engine putting out 48 PS and a fuel economy of 22.7 kilometers to a litre, but only in petrol. Is this car a worthy successor to the old 800? Probably not, but then times are different. Is it a great starter car to buy this Diwali? You bet. Like we said earlier, competition for the Alto 800 comes from the Hyundai Eon. In our opinion, a funkier looking little thing. In Hyundai fashion, you are spoiled for choice, beginning at the bottom of the barrel Delight variant all the way up to the top end Sports with the Z version, where you're getting high-end kit like airbags and keyless entry. All Eons share the underpinnings though: an 814cc petrol engine putting out 56 bhp and 76 Newton meters of torque, more than sufficient for the urban and semi-urban driving that most people are going to do in an Eon. According to the ARAI rating center, you're getting 21.1 kilometers to a litre of petrol, and that's a magic number for a lot of the car buyers out there. You've also got decent interiors and enough space for 4 adults. Now, staying with Hyundai, they've managed to find a gap between their subcompact i10 and the larger i20 with a car that they've launched this year called the Grand i10. This is essentially the new European i10 with a wheelbase that's been extended by 10 centimeters for the Indian market. And as far as small hatches go, the Grand i10 is a cracker. For starters, you've got the great 1.1 litre second generation CRD diesel engine that's dropping 70 bhp and 160 Newton meters of torque, as well as a petrol variant, which is essentially the 1.2 litre Kappa engine that we are familiar with from the i20. Mileage numbers are decent. You're looking at an average of about 18 kilometers to the litre of diesel and about 15 for a litre of petrol. Where this car does shine though is the quality of the interiors. The higher end versions of this car come fully loaded, and for its size, the backseat is relatively huge. Not too much has changed in the large hatchback market this year, except for a couple of upgrades. For instance, the Honda Brio, which in our book one of the finest city hatchbacks, just got an interiors update, as did the Micra. However, VW did give its hatchback, the Polo, a little more than a features upgrade. For one, you've got 2 hot hatch variants called the GT TSI and the GT TDI, and with these cars, VW's gone all out. You've got a turbocharged 1.2 litre petrol, and that version comes with a super slick 7-speed DSG gearbox, as well as a 1.3 bhp 1.6 litre turbo diesel. Sitting at the top end at the Polo spectrum, both cars are otherwise identical from the common variant, with the exception of the GT badging on the grille. but that's where the similarities end. Where the regular Polo's 3-cylinder engine struggled for power, the 1.2 TSI petrol and the 1.6 TDI diesel sing in a car as small and light. If you're looking to have some fun without completely wrecking your credit rating, look no further than the GT Twins. On the other hand, if it's just style you're looking at without any substance, you could have a gander at the Cross Polo. Supposed to be a rugged go-anywhere version of the Polo, what the Cross Polo turned out to be was a disappointment with cladding, scuff plates and not much else. Like we said earlier, there wasn't too much excitement in the lower end of the spectrum, but there was one car that got everyone talking, the Honda Amaze. Not because it was an entry-level practical sedan car, but because it was the launch of Honda's first ever diesel engine. Last year, all the entry-level sedan buzz was for the Maruti Suzuki Dzire, but if there's another group of car makers that could unseat Suzuki, it's Honda. And to do that, Honda literally went to the drawing board and created something they call the Earth Dreams engine. And this is where they've stuck it. It's a 1.5-litre diesel, putting out 98.6 horses and 203 newtons of torque, which is quite a bit for a diesel engine in this category. As with other Honda engines, this one is an absolute peach. Slip the car into gear and the Amaze will zip forward. Power delivery is as flat as a well-made dosa, and you've got no sudden surges or turbo kicks. Attached to the engine is a 5-speed manual transmission, and the clutch is nice and light for a diesel, needing only minimal shifting. On the inside though, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Compared to the Dzire, the dash and driver interface do feel a little Spartan. However, there's a buttload of space, almost as much as its rich cousin, the City, which is very impressive, and dare we say better than the Dzire. If you're looking for a VFM hatch in this space, you really can't go wrong with the Honda Amaze. Now, the one segment that was smoking hot this year was the mini SUV segment. Last year, we raved about the Renault Duster, but in the back of our minds, we always knew that the Duster would grab all the glory until the competition came along. And that's what happened this year when Ford launched the EcoSport. In the pantheon of car categories, the mini SUV is a recently invented animal, almost always based on the sedan platform, while conforming to the look and feel of an SUV. The EcoSport is small, it's less than the magic 4.2 meters long, yet it's pretty tall and sits wide on the road as an SUV should. But perhaps the biggest bit of technology in the Ford EcoSport is also very small, the 1-litre petrol engine with a turbo. Now, when we heard that this car was going to come with a 1-litre engine, jaws dropped, because seriously, a 1-litre engine is what you get in an Alto. But what makes it tick is the turbo, and that's boosting power to 125 bhp and 170 newtons of torque. Those are proper horsepower numbers, the kind you'd get from a car at least 3/4 larger. Now, you've also got a 1.5-litre diesel and a 1.5-litre petrol engine, both transplants from the Fiesta range. Compared to the Duster, which does look and feel like a real SUV, the EcoSport is a bit prissy and indeed does lose out to the Renault as far as space is concerned. Where this car does well though is the driving experience. Superb ride and handling coupled with a cabin that's loaded with gadgets and gizmos. And then there's the price. The cheapest EcoBoost comes with an ex-showroom price of less than 6 lakh rupees, with the most expensive fully loaded diesel costing you 10. If that's not value for money, then I don't know what is. Of course, if you do want to have the SUV experience as well as a bit more style and size, you could always spring for the Nissan Terrano. A marvel of rebadging, the Terrano is essentially the Duster except with new IDs and bumpers. Designed to look more like the Nissan range of SUVs, including the legendary Patrol, where the Terrano does lose out a bit as price. Compared to the EcoSport, the Duster does seem a little overpriced, and the Terrano is even more expensive than that. Welcome back. Now, in the last segment, we spoke about many SUVs, but honestly, those are pretty much urban animals. If serious off-roading is your thing, then here's the car that you should be looking at. It calls itself the EOV, or Extreme Off-Road Vehicle, because quite honestly, for people with mud on their mind, nothing else but extreme will do. Off-roading enthusiasts will be aware of the existence of the Gurkha, the wild and hairy version of the old Tempo Trax, itself a tuned-down version of the Mercedes G-Wagon. If you see them side by side, you know what we're talking about. Under the slab-like bonnet is the engine derived from the legendary OM616 introduced by Mercedes sometime in the late 70s. This engine is old school all the way, turbocharged, intercooled, and unlike most passenger car engines in India right now, this one's DI, which means direct injection. Power output is a very modest 81 bhp and 235 newtons of torque. It's rear-wheel drive in normal conditions, and switching to 4x4 is again by the old school secondary gear lever. Standard equipment on the Gurkha prepares you for what this car is good at. You're getting mechanical diff locks for both front and rear axles. This bizarre looking plastic attachment, illustratively called a snorkel, will allow you to wade through up to 55 centimeters of whatever fluid you choose to wade through. A transfer case with all low ratios and all-terrain tires. Driving the Gurkha on-road, of course, isn't going to be very rewarding, but then if you're looking to buy a great off-road toy, the Gurkha is as sorted as a T-34 tank ploughing through the rear end of a German retreat. Now, normally we take marketing, PR, speak and press releases with a pinch of salt, but when Skoda launched the Octavia last month, it really was the return of the legend. And it's a big leap from the Octavia/Laura that we're familiar with a jump that takes this car above its Japanese and Korean competition, more upmarket and definitely more powerful. How much power, you ask? 177 bhp, 1.8 litre TSI petrol and the ubiquitous 2 litre turbo diesel. This was an all-new platform, and yet the engines we're familiar with, the diesel variant that should be the big seller because India, fuel economy, etc., has migrated from the outgoing Laura and is putting out a decent 141 bhp and 320 newtons of torque. You're also getting decent mileage, 12.5 kilometers to the litre in the city and 16 kilometers out on the highway. Like all good medium-sized sedans in this range, you've got the option of a 6-speed manual gearbox as well as the superb DSG-equipped 7-speed automatic. The manual is where you're going to feel a slight bit of lag if you're not sharpish with the gears, but on the automatic, that simply disappears. If you're going to be seated in the rear, ride is pliant and comfortable. However, when this car does hit a roughish patch, you will hear it, and that can be a little irritating. Where the new Octavia really shines though are the interiors. Great fit and finish and attention to detail aside, you've got everything that you'd expect from a car like this. A huge sunroof, electrically adjustable driver's seat with memory, a stereo with Bluetooth and ports for USB and aux, dual zone climate control and parking sensors. Also, considering that this car is 110mm longer than the outgoing Laura, you've also got a lot of space with a great back seat that's as comfortable as a sofa, plenty of knee and headroom and a door that opens very wide. Now, if you're looking for a sedan under 20 lakh rupees, you can't go wrong with the Skoda Octavia. But if you're looking for something bigger, more luxurious and yet fuel efficient, the Toyota Camry Hybrid is an interesting option. Now, this is an extension, a variant of the new Camry that was launched last year, and it even extends over our 25 lakh rupee limit. But then the reason we put it in is because it's the only hybrid in this or any other category. The all-new Camry is a global bestseller for Toyota, but in India only purchased by hotels and corporates for two reasons. It's a CBU, which means it's expensive, and two, it's only got a petrol engine. But now with the hybrid system, that's changed. In the new hybrid, you've got two sources of propulsion, a 2.5-litre VVTi petrol engine that's putting out 160 PS and a 45 PS electric motor. Which brings us to what brings the Camry Hybrid to our choice of Diwali cars, fuel efficiency. Considering that you do have a 2.5-litre petrol engine, driving this car in stop-start conditions got us a very impressive 15 kilometers to a litre. Add to that the contemporary Lexus-inspired styling as well as the huge and hugely comfortable rear seat, and you've got a luxury sedan that's tough to beat. Now, if you take a look at the numbers, India really is a hatchback market, and if you look at our conditions, it makes absolute sense. But what if you want a hatchback with a little more style, with a little more performance, with luxury, with prestige? Well, if your office has really excelled itself on the Diwali bonus this year, here's something you could consider: the Mercedes A-Class. Because even though auto boffins might consider this car a hatchback because technically that's what it is, we'd like to think of it as a sports coupe with 4 doors. Because unlike other hatchbacks, this car looks great. It sits low on the ground and the front 3/4 look completely like a sports car. This is not your dad or uncle's Mercedes. The front end looks almost pissed off at you for making that suggestion. The headlamps glower, the air dams snarl, and then there's the almost obscenely huge 3-point star completing the picture. And the point. The party continues round the back as well, a place where most cars of similar design falter, like their styling mojo ran out by the end of the front 3 quarters, but not with the A-Class. The hatch contours in and integrates well into the rest of the body, with the rear splitter just completing what is a great look. Mercedes has gone really aggro with the way its new cars are designed. What hatch looks like this? Because from inside, at least, this is not, as the ugly euphemism goes, a premium hatchback. This is an all-out luxury car that happens to have a hatch instead of a boot. Considering these are relatively small engines, under the hood you can get 2 engine options. There's a 1.6-litre turbo petrol and a 2.1-litre diesel. Now, considering these are relatively small engines, you can't expect massive performance, but pushed hard, this car will still do a sub 10-second 0 to 100 run. Now, this is a fun car to drive and gives the driver quite a bit of feedback. Whip around a corner at nosebleed speeds and you won't feel like you're going to die. But on the con side of this notebook, we have to mention that this is not a car that does well on bad roads. Hit a rubbish patch off-road and the suspension will complain noisily, crashing down and not stopping till you either slow down or get to better tarmac. This is not a car you buy for practical rear seat reasons. The back seat is not as bountiful as you want it to be, but it does have all the bells and whistles that will make you happy, like a banging stereo with the accoutrements like Bluetooth and USB connectivity, along with an interesting LCD display screen. With prices between 23.4 and 24.1 lakh rupees, it isn't exactly value for money, but it sure is cool. However, BMW didn't wait too long to offer an option to the 3-point star. Like we said earlier, if your Diwali bonus really was awesome, here's the cheapest BMW that you could buy. It's called the 1 Series and unlike other BMWs, isn't really a looker. It's got all the trademark Beamer styling cues, the big bonnet, the huge headlamps with the world famous Corona rings and the kidney grille. But look a little further back and you realize that it's quite ugly. It's off balance, abrupt. But then all will be forgiven when you drive this car, because what the 1 Series does have going for it is a drivetrain that will make you want to cheat on your wife. The 1 Series is the only hatchback you can buy in India with rear-wheel drive, and coupled to that is a steering with as much feeling as a Bollywood mother. A tight yet forgiving chassis and suspension, an engine that goads you into doing naughty things to it, and a rear end that will swing out like an item girl. What you've got under the hood is a detuned version of the 2-litre diesel engine that you'll also find in the 3 and 5 series, as well as the X1 and the X3. 143 bhp, 320 newtons of torque. Now, compared to the A-Class's rather anemic 107 bhp, the 1 Series is fast enough, and the best part is the way it does it. Adding to the joy is the 8-speed gearbox, and unlike the double clutch devices you find in other larger Beamers, here you've got a torque converter. You also got 4 different driving modes which adjust the way the engine, gearbox and steering handle depending on your mood. This is a car with 50-50 weight distribution, meaning that it weighs the same in the front as well as the rear. A stiff chassis and suspension, which means sharp body control with no roll. Switch the 1 Series into Sports Plus mode and this car will shimmy and slide in and out of corners like a coked up salsa dancer. It might sound a little dangerous, but you can always remember this. The safety systems aren't off as much as inactive, lurking like a butler, and will pull you out of anything should things become too exuberant. This is a driver's car through and through, and if it's the pure driver's experience you're looking for this Diwali, you could treat yourself to an all-new one. And that was our show for this week, and at the end of it, we hope you're somewhat closer to making your car buying decision. Till next week then, ciao, take care and have a happy Diwali.